Hello, welcome to demola, and today we are going to do something a bit different, right? So, if you are trying to apply for medicine in year 13, February time, you maybe would have done your interviews, or you've done a couple, maybe you've got a few to go, or you're still waiting for a first interview, right? All I can say is now is a really weird time because in terms of the UCAT, personal statement, mock exams, you've done those, right? That's done. You put in the application already. And you kind of put into a place where you're just waiting, that you don't really know or you don't have any control over what happens next. And I feel like it's a very odd, uncomfortable place to be. And I kind of wanted to address it in this video today. So we're going to get into it, talk a bit about it, and yeah, hopefully this helps someone. Yeah, so I'll talk a bit about my experience with this, right? So February time, I had done my Manchester interview, I'd done my Liverpool interview. I already got rejected before the interview from Birmingham and Aston as well. So it was done. Like, I've done all the hard work at this point. I got the interviews in the first place, thank the Lord. I did my mock exams, got my predicted grades. I did a UCAT, got a decent enough score. I did my personal statement. Everything had been done, right? I'd put in a lot of work at this point. And to every one of you who's had interviews, waiting for interviews, very well done on even getting to this point, right? But I feel like it becomes a limbo state. Like, you realize that you literally do not have any say in this matter. There are random people sitting in like boardrooms or whatever deciding if your application is better than someone else's, deciding if your answers in the interview were good enough for them to let you into that school. And I feel like it's the only part of the process where you literally don't really get to control it. Like, if I don't revise for my mock exams and I don't do well, I accept that. The fault is mine, right? But in this case, but I know I did the best I could in the interview. If they said no, they said no. And there's not much you can do about that. And I guess to an extent, it almost feels like being rejected as a person. I don't know if that's too extreme. That might be too extreme, but it does kind of feel like they're saying no to you, like you're not good enough. So I do understand that is very, very difficult. Like, I won't pretend. I was on the student room every single day looking how they released in responses, yeah, and everything. And like, you'll see they'll go through days of sending out rejections. You'll be like, thank God I didn't get my email today. They'll send out days where they've just done acceptance, and you'll be like, oh my goodness, I didn't get it today. What's happening? So it can be a time when that like plays a lot on your head as well. And I know definitely for me coming into school, having like friends, teachers ask me, my parents as well asking me like, have you heard back, and not being able to say anything, it is very, very difficult, and it does put a lot of pressure on your head. And meanwhile, guys, like it keeps flooding in, meanwhile, you've got to still go in, do more exams, assessments, make sure that you're still on top of things because you need to get the grades at the end of the day. So, having said that, difficult. Definitely difficult. So, in this video, I'm kind of going to talk about the things that I did to kind of get through it. And yeah, just my tips in terms of dealing with it, because it very much is a real thing and it is a difficult time to kind of just sit and wait. In terms of what we do in a situation like this, I kind of think of it as my controllables, right? So, first of all, we focus on what's done, right? Your interviews, UCAT, personal statement, all done. I kind of like to adopt like this goldfish mentality, right? So I kind of use it to describe some footballers, but like it will be, say you have a winger that keeps going at the fullback and they keep losing the ball, but no matter what, they get the ball, they run at the fullback, even if they're having a bad game, right? That's kind of the mentality I try to have. Like, all these things, they're done, right? Essentially, they don't matter. Like that failed dribble attempt, they don't matter. I'm gonna just focus on trying to go again and doing what I know how to do, right? What I know how to do best. And if you're a prospective medical student, you know that you're doing something right. You've done something well. Cool. Then we need to focus on the things that you can't control, right? The admissions decisions, the other applicants, the grade boundaries, can't control them. Guys, when I did my A-levels, the grade boundaries came back sky high. We couldn't believe it, right? That's not something that you can control, right? Then what's most important, focus on the things that you can control. At this point, the only thing that we can control is getting those grades, right? At this point, you can't do anything to change your application, but you can get the grades. Guys, imagine the tragedy it would be to get accepted and then you don't get the grades. So focus, make sure that in class you're there learning. You know what to do in terms of revision. We have videos on this channel. There are other brilliant content creators on YouTube that will give so much advice about revision techniques. But we've got to think, what topics am I good at? Make sure I'm still good at those. What topics am I weak at? I need to learn them. Have I done enough exam practice? All of those things are going to be your most important focus from now on. And I know it's hard. Let's not cap. It's difficult, right? There are going to be days where you don't feel as motivated, right? Because if you think you're not going to go to the uni that you want to, of course you might be demotivated. In those moments, I always adopted this mentality where I was going to do two things, right? I was going to do one thing that was productive. I was going to do one thing that helped me to enjoy myself a bit, right? And I still use this to this day, actually. So in terms of something productive, it's not every day you can run a 3-hour revision session. If you do 3-hour revision sessions, it's not every day you can do that, right? But when I'm not motivated, I say, okay, I'm at least going to get this one task done. If it leads me to do more, fantastic. If not, okay. But I'm going to at least do one productive thing. And it doesn't even have to just be study. Like sometimes now, it will be like making a bit of a YouTube video, but just one thing that's productive, right? And then one thing to help me relax, whether that's watching a episode of TV, whether it's hopping on the PlayStation, anything like that. I'm just going to do one thing that's productive, one thing that helps me to enjoy myself a bit. And I feel like those are the main things that we need to think about when we're at this stage of the application. So there's your uncontrollables, there's what's done, and does what we can control. And I guess another thing that I really wanted to address was the sitting with discomfort. It is very, very difficult, right? I think this is probably, maybe apart from like GCSE results there, if you took it that seriously or selfishly, but I feel like you never really have a time like this where you're just sitting like uncomfortable, don't have any control, what can I do? And it is difficult, and I think now is the best time to start getting your like coping strategies or like your kind of support systems that are going to help you. One for me was prayer, right? It was prayer, talking to my friends, like honest conversation, stuff like that. They are going to help you get through these times, because this is not going to be the only time you have this. When you're in university, there are going to be times where you're stressed out, right? You've done your final exam, you don't know how it went. There's going to be times like that, right? Even as a doctor, there are going to be times where you're like, I'm not sure how this is going to turn out for my patient. Sitting with discomfort is something that you just, it's an unfortunate part of life, essentially. A very unfortunate part of life, but something that we just need to be aware of right now and be able to process. So make sure that you do have the support systems in place. Make sure that you do have the strategies in place that are going to help you to get through it, right? I'm probably not the best person to come to in terms of making like these techniques, but it's definitely something to search for YouTube, online, things like that. There are going to be so many resources out there for you, but it's just something to make sure that you're aware of right now, because this is not just an A-level skill, this is a life skill, right? You're always going to have an uncomfortable situation in life, and it's now that you can develop the mechanisms to get through it. Okay, so that's about all that I've got for you lot today. Hope it has been useful. It is a bit of a different type of video from what I'm normally used to doing. If these sit down videos aren't good, if the video doesn't do well, or gets bad comments, please don't. But if it just doesn't work out, that's completely fine. I just wanted to try something a bit different. I hope it is timely, because I feel like now was a very difficult time in terms of applying for medicine. So I hope at least like sharing my experience and a tiny bit of tips has helped somebody out there. I know it's a bit less high octane than what I'm normally doing, but yeah, if it's helped someone, please like and subscribe to the channel. We have just reached 750 subscribers, so a massive thank you to everyone out there that's been supporting. We've got our TikTok and our Instagram both at demola, and yeah, that's gonna be a wrap for me. So thank you all for watching. Hope it's been useful, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.